Hey everyone, John from Let's Talk here, and today we're here to talk about the 2010 David Fincher film, The Social Network. And we're also here to talk about why its 4K Blu-ray has only been released in that Columbia Classics collection. But first, before we dive into all that, if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, movie reviews, some tech and game reviews along the way, and now we do podcasts, if you are into all that, then this is the channel for you, and nothing would help this channel out more than by you just simply liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So The Social Network was released in 2010 and famously lost Best Picture to The King's Speech, which isn't a bad movie, but how many people are talking about The King's Speech nowadays? Also, that same year, my favorite movie from 2010 came out, and that was Inception, probably my most recent addition to my top 10 of all-time films. But that's not to take anything away from The Social Network. I just rewatched this again 2 days ago after I just rewatched it a couple weeks ago to do my David Fincher rankings. I find that the hardest part about this movie is trying to explain to other people that they should watch it. More specifically, my wife. She will not watch this movie because she simply just says, you know, it's a movie about Facebook. And it's funny because the people who made this movie clearly know that, because the documentary that comes on the Blu-ray and the 4K is named How Do They Make a Movie About Facebook? And that's because people are missing the point. This is a character study of not just Mark Zuckerberg, but the people around Mark Zuckerberg, his interactions, just how he deals with people. We're looking at the person. It's not just dealing with what Facebook is. It's about the guy who created Facebook. It's about all the drama that surrounds that, building an empire, learning your social skills, how to treat people. That's a big aspect of this movie. The overlining arc of this movie is that a guy who can create this huge social network with all these millions of friends has a hard time connecting with other people. Right in the beginning of this movie with Jesse Eisenberg and Rooney Mara's character, just when they're sitting at a restaurant, and the fact how he talks to her, how he feels comfortable talking to her, that he could just put her down at every single aspect. And they're dating. That's his girlfriend.
Someone's trait doesn't make it any less
I want to try to be
true.
straightforward with you and tell you that I think you might want to be a little more supportive. If I get in, I will be taking you to the events and the gatherings, and you'll be meeting a lot of people you wouldn't normally get to meet.
If that was my wife, she would have just got up and left immediately, probably threw water in my face, and you know what? I can't feel bad about it. It's my own fault. I'm a dick. And he doesn't feel bad about it. He only feels bad about it when she says she's leaving, and that's it. And that scene itself took 99 takes to do, which is incredible. And that's what you get when you shoot with David Fincher. This is not Clint Eastwood doing 1 and 2 takes and we're going to lunch. He's going to do 2 or 3 days until he gets exactly what he wants. And he'll edit it together in a certain way so that, you know, he might pull stuff from take 47 and combine it with stuff from take 49 or take 76, you know, and he just takes words from certain ones. That's why you get an almost perfect movie. One thing about David Fincher I've always said is all of his productions are clean and beautiful. The cinematography is always a 10 out of 10. This film itself, this is, I think, the second film he kind of did with this certain type of cinematography. Maybe it's the digital cameras that he's using, but it's a very warm film. It's a very dark film. We first saw this, I believe, in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button in 2008, because 2007 Zodiac didn't have this look to it, but starting in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, you kind of see those warm background lights that we would see throughout all of his films, like going forward up until Mank, you know, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. They came out 1 year apart, and you could just see the similarities in the cinematography. And Rooney Mara plays an amazing character in both. Obviously, she has the bigger role in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, but she still turns out a phenomenal performance in this movie, in her small little role that she plays as Erica Albright, which really is this character that sets off the creation of the Social Network, or the Facebook, with Mark Zuckerberg and Eduardo. In this movie, played by Andrew Garfield, and my favorite performance from Andrew Garfield that he's ever done. And that includes Spider-Man, Silence, Hacksaw Ridge, and Tick, Tick, Boom. So this guy has always been firing on all cylinders, but back in 2010, this is his best role. He turned in an incredible performance, and again, working with David Fincher. David Fincher also pulls out an incredible performance out of Justin Timberlake as the guy who created Napster, Sean Parker. And also, you got a great performance in here by Armie Hammer. I guess the less said about his personal life, the better, but he plays 2 roles. Well, he really only plays 1 role, despite his face being mapped onto another character and obviously his voice being dubbed. That is another person playing the twin brother as one of the Winklevoss twins. Actually, the actor himself didn't find out about that until later. And, you know, he was a little upset, but he said, hey, I still get to play a big character in a David Fincher movie, even if his face is covered up, because they take Armie Hammer's face and they map it onto this guy's face. That's why you can get the different hairlines and the bodies are different. It's just the face on top of another person.
I'd like to take his face off.
And that's also how they were able to keep them both in frame so much, which is very impressive, because if you've ever seen a lot of movies with twins, you know, it's always very hard to do this. And usually what they'll do is they'll have a double in there, and usually you'll just see the camera from one person's perspective, and then we'll switch to a two-shot, and then we'll switch it over to the other person's perspective, and then you could bring in a double to play the other person. But now, because of the new technology back in 2010, the fact that we're able to do this is incredibly impressive. And I said this in my David Fincher video that I did, in my David Fincher video, he makes rowing look like the most intense scene ever. And a lot of that is carried by the Trent Reznor score in this too, which is one of the best scores probably of the 2010s. You know, Trent Reznor's been doing scores for how long now? And, you know, he did one of the best scores a couple of years ago with Soul, so that's incredible. But the real shining star of this movie, and I think that really keeps it going, is the Aaron Sorkin script. Aaron Sorkin himself has directed a few films, including Molly's Game, which I think is his best directed film, but he also has written just so many great films, including A Few Good Men, and he's also known for the writing on The West Wing. So you know that fast-paced talking that we get from Aaron Sorkin scripts, you have to shoot them together because everyone's always talking on top of each other, finishing each other's sentences. You know, he has one of the most unique writing styles, and you know it's an Aaron Sorkin script when you're watching it, and it shows in this movie. So combining David Fincher's directing with Aaron Sorkin's script, and then you bring in some amazing actors like Jesse Eisenberg, Andrew Garfield, Rooney Mara, and all of them just turning out amazing performances, and a story that intrigues you, a deep character study about a man who has it all but yet still has his own personal and social struggles, is an incredible film. It's one of the best of the 2010s. It's probably one of the best films in the last 20 years. I really don't have a flaw in this movie, and every time I watch it, I learn to love it more, I learn to appreciate it more, and if you haven't seen The Social Network, I highly recommend you check this one out.
Sorry, my Prada's at the cleaners, along with my hoodie and my fuck you flip-flops, you pretentious douchebag.
But this film, it's a very recent film. It came out only 13 years ago now. It's very popular. People love this movie. It's a David Fincher film, and this is also the only David Fincher film ever released on 4K. I'm not too sure. Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact he's been shooting on digital for so long, so it's very hard to get a Blu-ray to transfer very well to 4K, especially if they don't shoot on like 8K cameras or anything like that, because this is a 2K upscale. It's not in native 4K or anything like that, so it's just upscaling it. So if you have a previous Blu-ray, now this does come with the previous Blu-ray, which I'll show you guys actually, because it is kind of nice. So you get that unique slip cover that comes with this. Individual disc design, nothing special or anything like that, but still individual disc design. And you know, I've been reviewing, it's taking me forever to review the Sony Pictures 30th Anniversary 4K set, and that set doesn't have that many extras. It's just one 4K disc. This one, you get a 4K disc, the previous Blu-ray disc, and you get a disc of extras, which has the documentary, How Do They Make a Movie About Facebook, which is a phenomenal documentary. Check that out. If you're a fan of movies, my God, that is the perfect one. You get to see how they shoot all these scenes. You get to see how they're lit. You get to see how they do the face mapping with Armie Hammer. You get to see just everything that they do, every little bit of the film. You get to see Aaron Sorkin on set. You get to see them rehearsing the scenes, how many takes it took. I mean, just incredible. Interviews with everybody. It's a great documentary, and it's for free in here. The problem is, to get this 4K, you can only get it in this 4K set. Now, all those extras are on the previously released Blu-ray as well, so if you have that Blu-ray, I don't think you need to upgrade to the 4K. The 4K does have Dolby Vision, HDR10, and Dolby Atmos on it, but it doesn't make a huge difference. I tested out both the Dolby Vision and the HDR10, and weirdly enough, I thought the HDR actually was a little bit better than the Dolby Vision in my opinion. Now, both of them were not that much better than the Blu-ray. I mean, you would have to compare them side by side to really find the differences. The only real big difference was basically just the high dynamic range. You know, you just see the whites are a little bit brighter, the blacks are a little bit deeper, the color contrast is just a little bit better, but not enough to justify buying the 4K. And that's why I think they haven't actually released this on 4K individually yet. Now, they have released some of the previous ones that are in the Columbia Classics on their own, like Lawrence of Arabia, but most of them seem to get locked behind these Columbia Classic sets, which are out of print, I'm pretty sure, for volumes 1 and 2 at least. So that's very unfortunate, but when it comes to this film individually, if you have that previous Blu-ray, I don't think there's enough in here to really say, hey, you need to go get this Columbia Classic set and get this 4K because it's unbelievable and you have to see it. It's not. It's not that much better than the Blu-ray. It's a little bit better, but if you already have that Blu-ray, there is absolutely no reason for you to go out and get this. Now, I hope eventually maybe they'll do a new scan, maybe, and that will make it worthwhile. But again, I don't know how you can make this film look better. It does look beautiful on the Blu-ray and on the 4K. It's just a gorgeous looking film. So it's going to be hard to make it look any better than it does. It's shot with modern cameras. You know, it's not shot on film, so you're not getting like a ton of film grain or anything like that. It's all just digital grain. It's just harder for a modern film. That's why when you get the Blu-rays with a modern film, they're not that much of a difference compared to the 4K. It's really older films, and I've been coming around on this, where the 4K technology just enhances an older film and makes it better. Whereas a film like this, it's a recent film. A 4K is not going to improve too much on it. I have seen it where a 4K has improved a lot on a Blu-ray, like The Cabin in the Woods is a good example of that, but for this, it's just not worth it, and I think that's why they haven't released it individually. Although I do think if I was Columbia and Sony, I think you would make some money on this, but you know, I'm not in charge of Sony, and I'm pretty sure I'm never going to be, so they're not going to listen to me on any of these business decisions now, are they? Overall, even though this 4K is locked behind the Columbia Classics wall, I don't think you're really missing out on it. I don't think you need to run out and grab it. I'm happy that I have that 4K, but I didn't have the previous Blu-ray, so it didn't really matter to me, and I really wanted this set for this and Taxi Driver, so I was happy to pick it up at the time. It was a Christmas gift from my wife, so I was definitely happy when I got it, and I'm very happy that I own The Social Network because I think that movie is just incredible as it is. Any which way you choose to watch The Social Network, I highly recommend the movie. You don't need to go grab this 4K. You can just get the Blu-ray if you want. It's got those amazing extras on the Blu-ray as well. It's probably got a separate disc in there. That separate disc that comes in here, so I can highly recommend grabbing that Blu-ray. You don't have to grab this 4K. Just grab that Blu-ray with all of its extras, and you'll be very happy. Just make sure you check out that documentary because it is awesome. So what would I give The Social Network 4K out of 10? I'm still only going to give this a 7 out of 10, and that's just because it's not a big upgrade over the Blu-ray. Now, it's still great, it's still amazing, but not everybody can buy it, which is always unfortunate when you have to review something that not everybody can get their hands on. But it's still a great movie. It's just the 4K upgrade is not justified, but it's still good. You can't give it a failing grade when it's still something that's definitely worthwhile. It's just you don't need it. But you guys probably realized it's Friday, and that means it's also time for us to do our digital code giveaway. So every Friday on the channel, Matt or I will ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you have to do is answer one of those questions in the comment section below, and as long as you do, you come back to Monday's video, we put your name on a magic wheel, we spin that wheel 2 times, and whoever the 2 names are, they have their choice of the digital codes that you have seen on your screen before you today. So I figured, hey, we're talking about The Social Network. It came out in 2010, and a lot of great movies have come out since 2010. I wanted to ask you guys, what is your favorite movie that has come out since 2010? So basically in the last decade and 3 years. So 13 years. Whatever your favorite film is from the last 13 years, I want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. And then our second question. This, I think, is one of the biggest Oscar snubs of all time. Like, The King's Speech is okay, but it's not The Social Network. And The Social Network, I believe, should have won. I believe that is one of the biggest upsets in Oscar history. So I want to hear from you guys. Are you guys a fan of the Oscars? If you're not, you could just answer the other question. But if you are, I'm wondering, what do you guys think is the biggest snub in Oscar history? It could be just for a nomination, or it could be for the Best Picture winner. Whatever you guys thought, actor, actress, what do you guys think is the biggest Academy Award snub in the history of the Academy Awards? Let me know in the comment section below. And while you guys are down there, we would really appreciate it if you give us a like on the channel, maybe subscribe if you're into 4K Blu-ray reviews like this, movie reviews and podcasts. We would really appreciate that. And then just simply going out maybe to your local bar or your local college, wherever you guys are, and telling all your friends about us. And we'll be seeing you around.